MLB DFS picks Wednesday, June 19th, night slate. Who are the pitchers we want to roster? Who are the pitchers we want to target? What are the stacks? Pretty straightforward night slate. We got three pitchers at the top: Cole Ragans, Freddie Peralta, Joe Ryan. I'm going to go with Ragans and Ryan, and you really can't go wrong with either of them. Peralta, the one small thing, and it's not a big deal, is that Los Angeles' park is playing pretty small, and the Angels are slightly hot over the last week, not striking out at 18%, whereas Ragans is facing a team that is striking out 27% of the time. Joe Ryan is facing the Rays, who right now are striking out 26% of the time, which isn't much different than their season average. Same thing with Ragans in Oakland, both with low ISOs, WOBAs, WRC+, but you look at the Angels over the last week, a 351 WOBA, a 128 WRC+. Could be a bit of an overreaction. It is a small sample size, but there's just real no reason to go there. Might as well just stay with Ragans in a matchup where Oakland struggles with lefties. Tampa struggles with everybody. Now, the value that is on the board, it seems to be pretty clear. It's Sean Manaea. Now, on the season, Manaea has not been that great, but you look at his last 5 games, really strong outings. And he gets a matchup against Texas, who can't hit lefties. 22% K rate, not the highest, but again, we're only paying $7,200 for him. But you look at the ISO, 117, or less than 117, 117, 294 WOBA, and 87 WRC+. And over the last week, they've been even worse. 239 WOBA over the last week. They don't hit lefties. Sean Manaea trending upward. The other one that we love is Hunter Brown. Everyone has been on Hunter Brown over the last couple weeks. The advanced metrics told us he was going to turn it around, especially when the matchups went in his favor, and the matchups have gone in Hunter Brown's favor. We look at the Sierra, or the skills interactive ERA, 369 versus his 5 ERA, which tells us, look, he's doing a lot of things right. It's just not working out for him. He's having some bad luck, high BABIP, which can happen to ground ball pitchers. A 52% ground ball rate, limiting hard contact to 25%, a 26% K rate. All those numbers check out. There's no reason other than bad luck for why he would have a 5 ERA. You'd like to see the swinging strike rate be a little bit better. You'd like to see him walk fewer batters. Sure, you can freak out about Chicago. It is a hitter's ballpark, but his statistics check out for surviving Chicago. He doesn't give up a lot of fly balls. He doesn't give up a lot of hard contact. He strikes out a significant amount of batters. Ballpark shouldn't matter. And the matchup is great. Chicago, 24% K rate, 129 ISO, 278 WOBA with 77 WRC+. And obviously, they're not hitting over the last week. So Hunter Brown's the obvious value play. Sean Manaea is there. And then you get your big dogs at the top. What about stacks? Who are we looking at? Obviously, without explanation, you've got the Dodgers in Colorado. And Colorado always in Colorado for the cheaper version. Although we don't really love it against Bobby Miller. It's there. You can always play Colorado. You're not excited about it because they're not a good team. But you get a slight discount, at least compared to what you have to pay for Dodgers in Colorado. Kansas City versus Luis Medina. Medina has some filthy stuff and is a prospect that should someday be maybe a star, but probably not, because the guy has control issues. He has filthy stuff, but his control is terrible. He always gets into jams. He always walks too many batters, and then it falls apart. 12% walk rate. And for a guy that has filthy stuff, his K rate's only 15%. Why? Because he's throwing too many balls. His swinging strike rate is 10% because he has no control. He gives up too many fly balls. He walks too many batters. If he were ever to get control of his stuff, he would be a great pitcher. But that day seems to be a long way away. And you can easily see him getting into trouble against Kansas City. A 7.5 seems pretty low, but Kansas City is expected to score runs. Oakland is pretty much expected to get pretty much crushed. So yeah, it's a low run total, but the runs should come from Kansas City in that matchup. The other team, two more teams, Minnesota. against Tyler Anderson, against Tosh Bradley, good stuff. Good strikeout numbers. You almost consider rostering him. You don't really need to roster him today. So, why stack? You may not want to stack against him, but he does give up fly balls. He does give up hard contact, and the meat of the Minnesota order is absolutely killing the ball right now. So maybe you're not stacking Minnesota, but you are looking to 3-4 hitters. Royce Lewis for a home run. Don't necessarily need to stack Minnesota, but it's there. The one that you really, really, really should love, the New York Mets. Mets are on fire. The Mets have been hitting lefties all season, and they're facing Andrew Heaney, who's never really been a great pitcher. He's always been a fly ball pitcher. This year, he's allowing, 35% ground ball rate. He's always giving up a general decent amount of hard contact. Look, he's not a trash can, but one of the flaws with Heaney has always been he gives up a little too much hard contact. He gives up a little too many fly balls, and in the end, his home runs per nine is always, at times of the season, it'll be really high. It kind of normalizes, but when the season is over, he always gives up more home runs than the average pitcher, and sometimes well above the average pitcher. So Heaney can be attacked, especially in this matchup, because we've got a team that hits lefties, and the Mets are really, really stinking hot. Look, the last week, a 221 ISO, 406 WOBA, a 170 WRC plus. They're not striking out. The Mets are on fire. They got a good matchup against Heaney. They can hit lefties. I mentioned the Mets yesterday. I've been mentioning the Mets every day, so keep playing them. We look real quickly at some of these guys that we could roster. Well, we're not going to do that today. I think that pretty much covers it. You know your pitchers. You get the three guys at the top. You know the two that I like. Minaya and Brown are going to be the chalky plays. Coors Field, Mets, Royals. Those are your bats. Have a wonderful Wednesday night.